Hey, family, TACC man, how's your spirit? Talk to me. Tell me something good. Tonight's topic is the point of no return. Why adversity demands permanent change. Give y'all a couple seconds to get together. How y'all's day today? Was it hot enough for you? Mm, had a good day. I've been working, man. I'm trying to get this um website off the ground with companies with my books and my modules for upscale corporations for burnouts. It's gonna take time, but I'm gonna do what I gotta do. I'm gonna do what I have to do. There's always more than one way of skinning a cat without choking shit out and fucking up its fur. And I'm gonna figure it out. One second, y'all. Give me 1 second. 1 second. Yeah. Oh, how's my spirit? My spirit is beautiful. And blessed and highly favored. Thanks for asking. So here we go. Life has a cruel but necessary way of bringing you to your knees, not to destroy you, but to show you the cracks you've been ignoring, the habits you've been excusing, the people you've been enabling, the lies you've been telling yourself. Adversity is not a punishment, it is a spotlight. It illuminates everything you've managed to keep in the dark. Your poor choices, your weak boundaries, your procrastination, your pride, your fears, your addictions, your toxic patterns. And in that harsh, unforgiving light, you have a choice. You can look away, you can blame the world, bad luck, other people, or God. You can numb the pain, wait for things to get better, and slide back into the familiar comfort of your old self. Many people do that. They survive the storms, patch the roof, and go right back to living in the same crumbled house, only to be destroyed by the next storm that comes. Or you can stay in the light. You can let the adversity burn away everything that isn't true, strong, or lasting. You can say, I see exactly what I've been doing wrong, and I am never going back. This is not about improving or doing better for a while. This is about permanent, irreversible, non negotiable transformation. This is about drawing a line in the sand and vowing with every fiber of your being that the person who went through the pain will not have suffering in vain. The rest of your life hangs in this one decision. Will you change for now or will you change forever? Because temporary change is just a performance. Permanent change is survival. And if you've been through real adversity, you know deep down you don't have another round left in you. This is it. This is your shot. The old you is dead. Bury them. Honor them by becoming someone they couldn't even dream of. Not for a month, not for a year, for the rest of your life. Below are 50 hard questions, each one designed to strip away every excuse, every fear, every lie that tried to pull you back. Read them, answer them honestly, and let them seal your commitment forever. You know why I do this, right? Because y'all are that important. And I know that I can't do this alone. And until I'm able to get enough people to see my vision, it's going to take time, and I'm not going nowhere because, like I said, I love you guys too much. And I know that once you get it, you'll have it. You know, we all come from two people, Adam and Eve. So we are related some kind of way. If you believe in any of the books, it tells you that. So my thing is, let's start acting like family. And it's only through our adversity change will take place. Like my logo. See my logo? Through adversity comes change. And that's the only way we win. Going through our adversities, understanding why God put us through them, learning from them, and becoming a better person so you can heal and help others. It's so very important that we understand the mission. The mission is to become self-sustaining to whereas we can never be classified as second class anything ever again in life. We all see what we're going through. We just have to come together. United we stand, divided we fall. This is why they win, because they're united. So let's get started. Why did I have to go through this painful experience? Answer: to expose the fault lines in your character, habits, and choices. Like I tell you, your choices shape your adversities. Your adversities are your lessons to get you to your blessings. So you can permanently fix them. Example: a man who loses his marriage due to anger issues. Divorce is the adversity. It exposes that he never learned emotional regulations. He never grew up. If he doesn't permanently go to therapy and change his response system, he'll destroy his next relationship as well. And see, it's about working on yourself. When you know there's things that you need to do and you have to do, just do them. And this is not to brag. Like I said, after going through what I went through last year, it made me understand that, life is short. And like I say, I'm 61 starting over from scratch by myself. And it's a beautiful thing because I'm humbled, you know, the way I have to live. And I live fantastic, you know. But like I always tell you, it's not about what you do, it's how you do it. And that's just how life is. And like I said, it's time for us to make the changes we need to make in our lives to live a better life and live a productive life. We were once a village. We're no longer a village. We're just individuals, and life was so much better for us when we were a village, so let's get back to being a village. Number two, why can't I just recover and go back to normal? Answer: because normal is what broke you. You needed a new normal. Example: a woman survives a heart attack caused by stress and fast food. Going back to her old 80-hour work week and drive-through dinners is a death sentence. Her new normal must include rest and home-cooked meals permanently. Number three, Why does this feel like I'm being punished? Answer, it's not punishment, it's redirection. Pain is the only thing loud enough to wake you up. And this is why through adversity comes change is so important. You know, things don't change in happy times. Things only change in chaos, in tough times. It's just how life is. Example, a young entrepreneur goes bankrupt. He feels cursed, but bankruptcy forces him to learn financial literacy. 10 years later, he's a CFO. The adversity redirected him to his true skill. Like, God don't make mistakes. We make mistakes, but God don't make mistakes. Number 4, why do I keep attracting the same problems? Answer, because you haven't changed the root, only the surface. The root keeps producing the same fruit. Example, a woman keeps dating emotionally unavailable men. The adversity is the pattern. She must permanently raise her standards and heal her attachment style, or she'll keep choosing the same man in a different body. Number 5, why did this happen now? Answer, because you were finally strong enough to handle the lesson and old enough that you can't afford to waste more time. That sounds like me. Example, a 45-year-old loses his job. At 25, he would have panicked and taken a gig, any gig. At 45, the loss forced him to finally start the business he always dreamed of. The timing forced maturity. Like I said, God don't make mistakes. If one door is locked, walk down the hall. It's a whole hallway full of doors. Find the one that fits you. And you must always understand, you got to go through your nose to get to your yeses. It's only through connection and by chance, because there's no such thing as luck, that you go to the one door and it's a yes right away. Even great inventors said, man, it takes time. And you just have to be patient. That's why patience is so important in life. Even with finding out who's your friend and who's not. Or you don't have to say nothing. Just be patient. They'll show if they for you or not. Just how life goes. Number 6, why do I feel like I'm starting over from zero? Answer, because the old foundation was cracked. You're not starting over. You're building on solid ground this time. Example, a family loses their home to foreclosure. They feel like beggars, but they use the fresh start to move to a cheaper city, cut debt permanently, and buy a smaller home with cash. They're not at zero, they're at honest, which you could really afford. And living above your means is something that we do so much. And I'm so happy that I've learned not to live above my means. Like I said, I used to spend $1,000 a day on scratch tickets. Now I live off $1,000 a month. You have to be humble, man. You have to understand humility and be content what God gives you. Because whatever He gives you is what you're supposed to have at that time. And when He gives you more, you must appreciate it and do right with it. And these are the things that I've learned to understand in time. Number 7, why did people I trusted abandon me during this? Answer, to show you who was temporary. Adversity filters your circle permanently. Example, a man gets cancer. His best friend disappears. It hurts deeply, but he permanently learns to invest only in people who show up in the dark. And he never wastes his time on fear. Fear, whether friends again. You know, life has a way of teaching you, man, and people have a way of showing you. And they happen without you participating. So just understand when you see it, just know that that's where they're at. That's not where you at. And that's not where you ever want to be. So you have to always keep doing the right thing no matter what. Number 8, why does my past keep haunting me? Answer, because you haven't made a clean, permanent break from it. Go stay until you close the door. That's a true story. Example, an addict gets clean but keeps old using buddies, phone numbers, just in case. The past haunts him. He must permanently delete every contact and change his number, or relapse is inevitable. And that's the truth. When you are a person like I used to be, excessive with everything, like he said, relapse is inevitable. Now I'm all the way out the way. I don't really have but a handful of true friends this time around. And I don't have time for bullshit because I'm creating a movement, a brand, you know, a global corporation. I don't have time to, dilly and dally. And that's why God put me all the way out the way. Of course, if I'd have been in the city, it'd have been crazy. I wouldn't have done none of this. So I thank God for his many, many blessings because he takes care of me and he keeps me safe, even in the bad times. Like I said, I'm still here for a reason. That means I have a purpose. Number 9, why do I feel so much shame about what happened? Shame is the signal that you need to do different, be different, act different, live different. Use it as fuel, not a prison. Example, a father gets a DUI. With his kids in the car, the shame is crushing, but he uses it to permanently quit alcohol, attend AA for life, and become a speaker in impaired driving. The shame becomes his mission. See, not all things that happen bad are bad. It's always a silver lining in everything because that's how great God is. He always lead a way back. Number 10, why can't I just get over it already? Answer, because getting over it is avoidance. Going through it is permanent change. Like I tell you, the 5th principle is breaking through the wall of change, but you must take the responsibility of saying that I'm ready, to let these things go in my life. Example, a soldier with PTSD tries to get over combat trauma by numbing it out. It doesn't work. Only when he permanently commits to therapy, support groups, and a new career in veteran advocacy does he finally move forward. You know, you have to want to change. Change is in your heart, and staying change is deeper. Why change must be permanent, not temporary? 11. Why can't I just change for a little while until things calm down? Answer, because life will calm down and then you'll relax back into old habits. Permanent change means you never go back. Example, a person with debt consolidates and pays it off during a scared straight period. As soon as finances stabilize, they start using credit cards again. They must permanently cut up the cards and switch to cash only for life. And that's when you can't control yourself. I feel that when we get grown, we have a responsibility to ourselves to doing the right thing, you know, and no matter what, we have a responsibility of doing right, you know. And if you don't get it when you get old, it's not meant for you to get. Like I said, some people get it early, some people get it late, some people never get it. I thank God I got it late, but I got it. And I see life for what it really is, and people for who they are, and I get it. That's why I say I can't hold grudges. I'm not mad at no one. I forgive everyone, and I pray they forgiven me. Of course, I was a mother when I was a kid. So you know, I just keep doing the right thing no matter what, and life just keep blessing me. I can't complain about nothing, man. There's so many guys, that came home like me, and you know, a lot of them are struggling. You got quite a few of them that are, really doing good, but a lot of them are struggling, and I understand. And I thank God for putting me in a position where I don't have to struggle. He makes life easy, and it's not with a lot. It's not with a lot. It's what it look like. I said, $1,000 a month, and I still have money to put away. It's because I don't live above my means, and I don't have habits no more. The marijuana is for my pain. I have the card. I have permission from federal judge. I have glaucoma. I got different ailments. I got arthritis in my spine, hips, and knees. And I think I'm getting it in my left shoulder. So that's what the marijuana is for. It's for my medical. But as far as anything else, I quit. And I used to sniff coke. I used to sniff heroin. I used to drink a little bit. I don't drink no more. I don't use cocaine. I don't use heroin, and I live a good life. I used to pop pills every now and again. None of that. I don't even have a desire for that. And that's why it's called permanent change. It's not something that you do and then, like you say, cool. No, it's permanent change. When you change, you have to change for real. Of course, we're getting in the age to where, we don't have that much time left on this earth. And if you don't get it right, it's going to be consequences. And this is why God is so great. And he always leads the way back to him. So make the right choices. Like I said, how's your spirit? That's how's your connection to God. You know, talk to him. He talk. You see somebody trying to come in. Hold up. No, I don't know. Let's get back to it. Number 12. Excuse me. Why do I have to keep doing the right thing even when no one is watching? Of course, God is always watching. He's taking notes. Answer: because you're watching. Permanent integrity is built in private moments. Example: a business owner always goes under due to shabby accounting. He cleans up his books years later. He's tempted to fudge a number when no one's looking. He does it permanently because he knows the old lie destroyed him once. And if it destroys you once, it'll destroy you again. Like I said, everything in the street is the devil. It's no good of nothing. I finally realized that. And like I said, I thought I was going to be a street person all my life. No, it's all a lie. You don't have no friends. The mates that you choose when you're doing that, They're there only for the money. And when hard times come, they leave. Uh, you find out who's your real friends and your real family when you don't have nothing. But when you're out there, everything's beautiful, you know. And that's just life. You can't be mad about it. Like I said, it's just life, you know. And when you learn not to do certain things so you don't put yourself in those positions. That's why I say it's much better on the other side. You know, I worked for the devil, now I work for God. Feels better, is better, and I'm getting productive things done that I would have never got done if I was in the street. Think about that. Three books on Amazon within a year and 8 modules on Gumroad, video, audio, and workbook. Come on, man. That's God. And the beautiful thing about it, when you permanently change, he permanently blesses you. That's how it go. Can't do the other way no more. Doesn't even feel right. Number 13, why can't I just make one exception? Answer, because exceptions are gateways. One becomes two, two becomes a lifestyle. Example, a recovered alcoholic thinks just one glass of champagne at my daughter's wedding. That one leads to a blackout. Permanent sobriety means zero exceptions forever. And like they say in the fellowship, one is too many and 1,000 is never enough. And see, this is why I tell you, you have to have it in your heart to make the changes in your life. And when you make it in your heart permanently, that's when the magic starts. See, a lot of people are scared to make the change, but they don't understand. When you make the change, so much better on the other side. Once you get through your lies to yourself and to people and start looking at yourself and viewing life for what it is and living life right and stop lying to yourself and others and face yourself, know the things that you need to work on and work on them. It doesn't make you less of a person. Actually, it'll make you better of a person, but it's up to you. 14. Why does permanent change feel so extreme? Answer, because your old self was extreme in the wrong direction. Balance comes after you've overcorrected. Example, a workaholic who nearly dies from exhaustion forces himself to permanently stop working past 6 p.m. It feels extreme at first. After 2 years, it feels like sanity. Think about it. 15. Why do I have to cut people off permanently? Hmm. Answer, because some people are triggers, not friends. Keep them in keeping them is keeping the door open to your old self. I can give you some more examples, but I refuse to. Example, a woman leaves a toxic okay, one second. One second. It's prayer time. That's why that goes off. Example, a woman leaves a toxic social circle after getting clean from drugs. She misses them, but she permanently blocks every single one because she knows one coffee date could undo 5 years of progress. And what you got to understand is that, right? People will get you dirty before you can get them clean. So you must understand that, you know, you will never be able to get them clean before they'll get you dirty. And I learned that the hard way. 16. Why do I have to keep doing the right thing even when it's boring? Answer: because greatness is boring. Consistency, not excitement, builds a permanent new life. Example: a formerly obese man loses 100 pounds. The daily gym and meals prep are monotonous, but he does them for life because the excitement of junk food almost killed him. Wow. 17. Why do I have to change my environment permanently? Answer: because your environment shapes your choices. If it stays the same, you eventually revert. Example: a gambler who loses everything moves to a state with no casinos. He could move back later. He chooses not to permanently because proximity is temptation. Like they say, if you keep going to the barbershop, you're going sooner or later you're going to get a haircut. Number 18. Why do I have to keep doing the right thing when I'm tired or sad? Answer: because those are the moments your old self sneaks back in. Permanent change means no days off for character. Example: a single mother who clawed her way out of poverty is exhausted one day and wants to call in sick to her new job. She goes anyway, permanently, because she knows one missed day can spiral into a missed life. Number 19. Why do I have to publicly commit to my changes? Answer: because commitment creates accountability. It's harder to go back when everyone knows your promise. Example: a man who's cheated on his wife permanently commits to a men's group where he confesses every struggle. The group holds him accountable for life, no more hiding secrets. Number 20. Why can't I just change my mind later? Answer: because later your mind will be tired and weak. You must decide now and never revert. And never revisit the decision. Example: a person who survived a suicide attempt permanently writes a contract to themselves. I will never own a firearm again. They don't revisit it. They feel it out. They just obey the contract forever. Hello. We are calling on behalf of Access to Ride and confirm your trip for tomorrow at 1:50 p.m. To cancel or change your trip, please call Access. I know when it's a good show, people be calling me from all directions. Well, we gonna get through this here. We all gonna do our thing here. Example: a person who survived a suicide attempt permanently writes a contract to themselves. I will never own a firearm again. They don't revisit it. They don't feel it out. They just obey the contract forever. 21. The dangers of falling back. Why do I crave my old life? Answer, because your brain misremembers it as safe. It was actually familiar destruction. Example, an ex-con gets out of prison and misses the streets. The camaraderie, the rush, he must permanently remind himself the streets gave him 10 years in a cell. Safety isn't exciting, it's alive. 22. Why do I think I can handle just a little bit of the old way? Answer, that's your ego lying to you. The old way is a drug, and you're an addict to your former self. Example, a former smoker thinks, I'll just have one at the bar. That one becomes a pack a week. Permanent change means admitting I cannot handle even one ever. 23. Why do I romanticize bad times? Answer, nostalgia filters out the pain. You must write down the fact of what happened and reread them. Example, a woman looks back fondly on her toxic ex. She writes a list. He lied, he cheated, drained my savings. He permanently posted it on her mirror so she never forgets. 24. Why do I feel like a failure when I get tempted? Temptation isn't failure, giving in is. Temptation is just proof you're human. Example, a recovering porn addict has urges daily. He doesn't beat himself up. He permanently insists blocking software and calls his sponsor. That's winning, not failing. And I don't know how he beats himself, so I can't say. 25. Why do old friends try to pull me back? Answer, because your change makes them feel guilty about their own stagnation. Misery loves company. That's a true story. Example, a man quits drinking. His old buddies call him boring. He permanently distances himself because their opinions are a price of his survival. 26. Why does one slip feel like total failure? Answer, it's not failure. It's a warning. But if you don't permanently course correct, it becomes a relapse. Example, a dieter eats a donut at work. Instead of binging the whole day, he permanently decides one donut does not undo 6 months. I'm back on track now. 27. Why do I think about going back when life gets hard? Answer, because your old coping mechanism was escape. Hard times triggered escape reflex. Example, a business owner faces a cash crunch. His old self would drink. He permanently replaces drinking with a 5-mile run. Hard times now trigger health, not self-destruction. And see, it's about flipping it. We have the power to do that. And this is why I say it's time for us to change our mindsets, learn the lies from the truth, heal, and come together. It's time. 28. Why does my old identity feel more me than the new one? Answer, because you wore the old identity for decades. The new one is a muscle. It grows stronger with daily use. Example, a former gang member becomes a youth counselor. For years, he feels like a fake. He permanently speaks to kids anyway. And after 10 years, the counselor is him. Oh, that's my prayer. All right, let me get back. 29. Why do I get scared that I'll eventually give in? Answer, the fear is healthy. It keeps you vigilant, keeps you on your toes, especially when it's in your heart to change. It's going to always be temptations. Trust and believe that. I don't care how much at peace you get. If you are ex-addict, it's going to be temptation. It's about you putting in your heart that I'm never going to do that again and sticking to it. And that's it, man. Like I said, when you get to a certain age, man, it's certain things you just shouldn't be doing, you know, and when you don't pay attention, this is when problems happen. Example: a sober addict of 20 years still attends AA meetings, not because he's weak, because he knows the old self is patient. He stays alert for life. The devil is cunning, man, baffling, insidious. And while we sleeping, he's doing pull-ups, push-ups, dips, and working on with weights to get stronger. This is why you got to have it in your heart and hear. It's the only place. He only can whisper. He can't touch you or anything. He knows your weaknesses, but you got to be stronger than your weaknesses. Number 30. Why is falling back worse than the original adversity? Answer: because falling back means you knew the answer and still chose the wound. That regret cuts deeper. Example: a man who survived a stroke goes back to salt and stress. Wow. He has a second fatal stroke. His family knows. He knew better. That's the tragedy. 31. How to make change stick forever. How do I make change permanent, not temporary? Answer: by turning it into identity, not behavior. You don't do change, you become it. Example: a liar becomes honest not by trying to tell the truth, but by permanently declaring, I am an honest person now. The identity drives every choice. 32. How do I stop missing the old habits? Answer: by replacing them with new habits that give better reward, not just different ones. Example: a former gamer who wasted 10 years permanently placing games with lifting weights. The endorphins and visible muscle give a better high than any game ever did. 33. How do I handle triggers when they come? Answer: by having a permanent, non negotiable response system, like calling someone or walking away every single time. And like I tell you, I don't tell people to get away from me no more. I get away from them. When I see or feel the vibration, I'm gone. So it leaves a lot of stress, a lot of back and forth, a lot of headache. Just bounce. That's it. Example: a recovering shoplifter feels the urge in a store. She permanently leaves the store immediately, every time. No debate, no exceptions. 34. How do I stay motivated for decades? Answer: you don't. Motivation fades. You use discipline, which is permanent, choosing what's right regardless of feeling. Example: a writer who almost lost everything to procrastination permanently writes 500 words a day, rain or shine, sick or healthy, inspired or not. It's about you putting it in your heart and just doing it. 35. How do I know my change is really permanent? Answer: when you stop talking about it and just live it. It's no longer a project, it's air. It's like breathing, doing the right thing, breathing, doing the right thing. Example: a formerly angry man stops telling people, I used to have anger issues. He just doesn't yell anymore. For 5 years, that's permanent. 36. How do I forgive myself for the past so I can move forward? Answer: by permanently vowing to never make those mistakes again. Action is the only apology that lasts. And how I forgave myself is just forgive myself. Once you learn to forgive yourself, that's when peace comes. You stop beating yourself up and understand that we all make mistakes. You know, it's through adversity change takes place. Always understand that. And your choices shape your adversities, and your adversities are your lessons to get you to your blessings. Example: a mother who neglects her kids permanently becomes a most present parent in the neighborhood. She can't undo the past, but her daily presence is her permanent atonement. Like a lot of women who were smoking crack and men who are smoking crack, now they got good jobs, they got their kids, they doing fantastic. It's only through adversity change take place. They had to go through it to be able to learn to be that person, to be able to take care of their children. Everybody looks at things that go bad. It's like it's bad. Even in bad things, God has put a silver lining so that you can make a way. Because going through that, the lesson that you learn, that makes you stay right permanently. Not being able to have your children or living in the street or whatever. That makes you change and do the right thing. So God, like I said, he never makes mistakes. Whatever road he puts you at, he's driving the car and he puts you where you need to be so that you can learn. Because it's not punishment, it's lessons that'll get you to your blessings. 37. How do I build routines that last forever? Answer: by making them so small they're ridiculous and stacking them daily until they're unbreakable. Makes sense. Example: a man who couldn't exercise permanently starts with one push-up a day. After a year, he does 100. The routine lasts because it starts tiny. Think about it. Don't overwhelm yourself. A little bit at a time. How do I stay humble? 38. How do I stay humble so I don't get cocky and fall or fail? Answer: by permanently remembering where you came from, but not camping there. Visit your past, don't move back. Example: a millionaire who was once homeless permanently volunteers at shelters every Thanksgiving. He never forgets, but he never returns to that life. 39. How do I handle success without relapsing? Answer: success is actually more dangerous than failure. You must permanently anchor your identity to who you are, not what you have. Example: a musician gets sober, then gets a record deal. The fame triggers old party urges. He permanently hires a sober coach to travel with him because success can kill you if you're not careful. And that's why I say that, a lot of people would love to live their lives backwards, but they live it forward. And what I mean by that, if you live it backwards, that means you don't get the lessons and the blessings. So you got to live it forward. And what I mean by that, say God gives you everything. You never went through nothing in your life. When hard times come, you're not going to be able to deal with it because you never went through anything. So you must go through your lessons to get to your blessings. So you'll be able to deal with life for what it truly is. Number 40, how do I pass this on to my kids? Answer: by permanently modeling it. Every single day, they will learn your habit, not your lectures. Example: a father who survives bankruptcy permanently teaches his kids to budget and save, not by talking, but by living frugal for 20 straight years. 41, the ultimate why behind doing the right thing forever. Why does doing the right thing matter more than my feelings? Answer: because feelings are weather, they change. Right and wrong are permanent, they anchor you. Example, a man feels angry and wants to scream at his wife. He permanently walks away and cools down instead. His feelings pass, his marriage stays intact. 42. Why do I have to do the right thing even when it costs me? Answer, because the cost of doing wrong is always higher than in the long run, even if it delays. Example, a mechanic discovers a car needs $1,000 in repairs. He could lie and change 2,000 and charge 2,000. He tells the truth and loses the sale. That customer comes back for life and brings 10 friends doing right and doing the right paid and paying them, so they give them 10 customers. 43. Why does the right thing often feel harder? Answer, because it goes against your old programming. Hard now equals easier later. Easy now equals hard later. Example, a student wants to cheat on a test. He studies instead. Hard now, he gets a degree he earned. That degree opens doors forever. 44. Why should I care about being a good person if no one appreciates it? Answer, because your character is your reward. Appreciation is extra. Integrity is the main cause. Example, an employee works honestly for 15 years without a promotion. He passes over constantly. When a company faces a scandal, he's the one they trust to fix it. His integrity, unnoticed for years, becomes his golden ticket. Always do the right thing. Somebody's always watching. 45. Why does permanent change require spiritual or moral grounding? Answer, because without a higher why, you'll quit when it gets lonely. Your values must be bigger than you. Example, a man who lost everything permanently volunteers at a homeless shelter. He's not religious, but his commitment to never let another person feel as alone as he did keeps him going for 20 years. 46. Why do I have to do the right thing even when I'm the only one? Answer, because being the only one makes you a pioneer. Someone has to start a new way. Example, a factory worker refuses to cut safety corners even though everyone else does. He's marked, but after the accident, he's the one who survives. His permanent standing saves his life. 47. Why is the rest of my life the only timeline that matters? Answer, because the rest of your life is all you have. There's no retirement for being a good person. Example, a 70-year-old who was a crook in his 30s permanently spends his final decades making amends. He cannot undo the past, but his last 20 years of honest define his legacy. 48. Why can't I just do the right thing most of the time? Answer, because most leave room for disaster. Permanent means all. The only time you don't could undo everything. An example, a pilot safely flies 9,999 flights. On the flight 10,000, he skips a checklist because he's tired. That one skip crashes the plane. Permanent safety means never skipping. 49. Why does my permanent change matter to everyone else? Answer, because your story is a roadmap. Someone is watching you and deciding if change is possible. Example, a former addict becomes a counselor. Every client who gets clean because of him is proof his permanent sobriety saves life beyond his own. Number 50. Why should I trust that permanent change is worth it? Answer, because you're already seeing the alternative. and the alternative, more suffering. Peace is on the other side of the permanent right choices. Example, a woman who lives through abuse permanently walks away from toxic relationships and builds a quiet, stable life alone. 10 years later, she sits in her garden, drinks tea, and feels peace. She knows the old life would have killed her. The permanent change saved her. Conclusion. Adversity is not your destroyer. It is your architect. It breaks you open so you can be rebuilt, not with cheap materials, but with permanent steel. The old you was a rental, temporary, fragile, borrowed from bad habits and easy choices. The new you must be permanent structure, built brick by brick, day by day, with integrity, discipline, and the unshakable commitment to do the right thing even when no one claps. Falling back isn't just a mistake, it's a betrayal of the person who survived the fire. You owe it to them, to the people who love you, and to the version of you that exists 50 years from now, to never go back. The rest of your life is not a sentence, it's a privilege. And every single day you get to choose the old grave or the new path. Choose the path permanently and never look back. And that's the truth. That right there, my brothers and sisters, is the God honest truth. And this is why we must stay healed. We must stay at peace. We must stay doing the right thing because everything else don't matter. And like I said, everything in that street is the devil, you know. And at this stage in my life, I can't afford to deal with him because at any time God could, right, and it's over. I don't want to be on that side when the lights go out. I want to be on this side, you know. And this is why I do this. This is why I give you guys this wisdom that God has given me because I know we need it, and you can't keep it unless you give it away. You know, I used to say my cup was always half full. Never said my cup was half empty, but now my cup overfloweth. And this is why I give y'all what God gives me, you know, because I want each and every one of y'all to feel at peace, have the right mindset, and stay in a positive light for the rest of your life and watch how beautiful your life turn out. It's only through adversity change takes place. And always remember, your choices shape your adversities, and your adversities are your lessons to get you to your blessings. And if no one told you today they love you, I'm telling you, you guys have a wonderful night. TACC man out.